Alright, for today we'll be showcasing you on the proper tires whenever you want to go fishing. Right, so okay, we'll start from the top. We have he's a strapping young man. He's wearing a hat. Now, you wear a hat because you want to avoid sunlight from hitting the face. Because when you get too much sunlight in the face, you actually get sunburned, and believe me, you don't want to get sunburned. It's nasty. So then we'll move on to the shirt. The shirt is a cotton fabric. It's absorb sweat, so very useful when going outdoors. And moving on to the forearm, we have what we call a hand sock or arm sock. I'm not sure. So what this does is that it prevents sunlight from hitting the skin, directly hitting the skin, as well as preventing mosquitoes and other critters from biting the skin. So it's very useful, and you won't get sunburn, you won't get bites. Very useful. So we'll move on to the pants here. The pants, sweat pants, very useful when outdoors because you'll be sweating a lot, and it's very comfy. And lastly, we have shoe here, sports shoes. So you want to wear sports shoes because well, first it's outdoors, right? And you don't want to get mud in your feet. You don't want to step on any thorny stuff, things that really unpleasant for your feet. And finally, for the accessory, we have the fishing rod. So that concludes this fishing vlog. All right, so we'll be showcasing you on proper tires whenever you want to go swimming. So we'll start from the top. This is what we call a swimming cap. Now you want to wear swimming caps because let's say when you're swimming in a swimming pool, right? The swimming pool has a lot of chlorine, and chlorine will make your hair dry. So it's bad for your hair. So this functions as to protect your hair from any drying effects from the chlorine. So we go to the goggles. Now you wear a goggles because you want to avoid water from like assaulting your eyes. Right. So because chlorine water rich in chlorine or salt will be very unpleasant to your eyes. So when you wear goggles, you can see clearly. All right. So we move on to the shirt. Now this is what we call swimming tight. The function of this swimming tight is to provide a streamlined hydrodynamic body shape that is optimum for swimming. So it's waterproof, so it won't absorb water, so it won't be heavy. And when you want to save someone, like say he can like grab the shirt, right, because it's tight. So it's very optimum for lifeguard duties. And finally, we move on to the tights, swimming tights here. Its function the function is the same as the shirt, which is to provide a streamlined body shape, waterproof, yada yada yada. And so that concludes our showcase of this fine strapping young man. Here's a fine young man. This is a fine example of a football player. So let me show you closer of why this is a fine specimen when it comes to a football player. So first we go to the obvious. So we have this sport T-shirt of Fly Emirates Adidas, legitimate item, not pirated whatsoever. So and then we have the shorts, and basically nothing special about that. But the most important part is what we call the shin pad. Now the shin pad is there because we want to protect the shin against any errant football player who wants to kick his shin. And a bruised shin is very unpleasant, so very nice if you have a shin pad when it comes to playing football. And finally, we have this football shoe. Now I'll be showing you the studs here. Now the studs is here because it functions as a way to provide sufficient grip when in a football field. So let's say that it's raining and it's really sleepy. So these studs are very important if you want to maintain grip on the surface. So finally, ta-da! Okay, so good evening. For today, I'll be showing you what a typical girl wears during a evening stroll. So we have here, she's wearing jersey, tudung to cover our hair, and tights so that to provide like an aerodynamic streamline shape, right? So to make it more efficient when running, sprinting, and so on, because you optimally you don't want to wear baggy shorts, baggy shirts when you're sprinting, right? So finally, she's wearing what you call a sneaker, made specifically for sports activities for girls. That pretty much concludes our presentation on the appropriate attires used whenever you in specific events or situations, so to speak. So thank you for your time.